Thompson at Outlook. Okay, so I'm gonna put your privileges on the new site.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming
Login with, that's what.
that's what it shows on.
Okay, then if that's what it shows, then
Um,
I'll log in.
Will editor suffice or you need full on admin? Hey, Tom,
Jose, how are you?
give me 1 second. I'm just waiting for the screen to load up. And we're waiting for John.
Let's start with admin and we can take it away after, just for the initial stuff, because
Okay, good.
I think the editor more is for content
Right.
and.
Tom, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear
Give me
me?
1 second. I'm just gonna join here. Just that I'm sharing my screen from my PC. So I can mute my phone. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
It's, I'm gonna disconnect from my.
Perfect.
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
No, I don't see that.
Okay, give me 1
I
second.
recognize and thank the community for all of their support through this trying time in their lives. I, and all of us working this manhunt, understand the tremendous stress this puts on families and even businesses. In spite of that stress and unsolicited,
Okay.
Where are you today, Tom?
Okay, so John.
I am in
John,
Chicago
you're
today.
on.
Oh, fun.
Yep. It's pretty nice up here. Right now it's overcast, but it's in about 71 degrees. So it's pretty nice, a little breezy.
I told you my sister lives there, right?
Yes, and you've spent quite a bit of time. We have that in common. You've spent quite a bit of time here.
All right, so John, you're there?
Yeah, sorry, I have a bit of a sore throat and I don't want to get anybody else sick.
We appreciate that.
All right, so can you see my screen, guys?
Not yet.
Okay, give me 1 second. For some reason it's not
I can see it
showing.
in
Oh, there we go. No, it's here. Plug in the HDMI. It's plugged in. So disconnected.
We need one more person, right? Don't we, John?
Yeah, I know Ken Fitzpatrick is not gonna be here today.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else is joining.
Oh, no, I know what I have to do. I do have to join the Teams to share it because this one doesn't have the remote.
Oh, yeah, just don't join audio.
Yeah. Okay, don't use audio. And join now. I'm gonna disable my camera so you don't have to see me twice. And then I'm gonna share. All right, so where are you?
Interesting, because I don't see John on this one, but he was up on that one.
All right.
Committee. There we are.
Is Technology Committee gonna be in here?
Yes,
Okay.
come on in.
Okay,
How are you?
good. Oh, I see. So this is also a Zoom meeting.
It's virtual.
I didn't know that. I thought it was an in-person meeting.
It's happening.
So I could go home.
All right, can you see it now, guys?
Yep.
I don't see a Neil on. I don't see Corbin on or anyone else. Let's give them another 2 or 3 minutes. You just hit 5:30, so.
I'll text you if anyone.
That's me. I have a. Oh, that's done. Let's see. It's John. All right. What's your name?
I'm Dave.
Hey, Jose, nice to meet you.
Jose. Are you on the committee?
Yeah.
It's all changed in the last year.
I texted, they haven't responded back yet.
So, just so you know, Ken is not gonna be on the call today. And Breck replied to my email a couple of days ago, so he now has access to the tech committee stuff now, so.
All right, let's give another 2 minutes and we'll just have an informal discussion and. Yeah, Jim didn't say anything to me about today.
He was here. He's at the finance
He's at the joint meeting with
CROA meeting,
yeah.
Okay,
but he wouldn't count for our quorum anyway.
yeah, I know.
He's next door having a lot less fun. I'd rather talk about technology than budgets.
Yes.
Oh, did I see somebody else?
No, that was Tom.
No, just looking back and forth.
All right, one more minute. Okay, neither responded back, so I guess we can just have our informal conversation.
Sure thing.
Works for me.
Okay.
Okay, Tom? Okay. Okay, so, thanks everyone, and what's the gentleman in the room's name?
I'm Dave Finnegan.
Hey, Dave. So John Greenberg, I'm the chairperson for our technology committee. We usually have 4 to 7 people. So today is really the first time we don't have a quorum, but so I don't think we're going to vote anything today, but we do have some projects and some things we can at least discuss and make sure that they're being covered. So we can just jump in. Anything on status update on the website?
So the website is up in parallel to the current celebration website. We're still waiting for a response to see who owns the domain. We've reached out, we still haven't gotten a response yet. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask Freshie Site to just reroute. So whenever they go to celebration.fl.us, it'll just reroute to -fl.us in the interim.
Just make sure they use a temporary redirect and not a permanent, because untangling a permanent after it's been in place is awful. I had someone not know what they were doing and do a permanent redirect, and having to undo all that was a big mess. I think there's 2 different types of redirects. I can't remember what the numbers are off the top of my head.
Okay.
But yeah, there's 2 different types. So one's a permanent and one's I think one's like a 4.0. I don't know what they are exactly. I can look real quick. But yeah.
So that's where we're at with the site. Liz is filling in all the meeting minutes and agendas for dog park and recreation. She did do service areas. She's still missing a couple of files there, but things are moving along.
So who are you waiting?
So we want them to do a 302. Make sure they do a 302 redirect and not a 301 redirect.
So Jose, who are you waiting on to find out about who owns the domain?
TCC.
So I thought I saw that it was already hosted by InMotion.
It was.
It still is. That's where the domain still is.
Yeah, but they can't, how can I put it? I spoke to their support team, right?
Okay.
And there's 2 servers. And it's not the one that's ours, it's on the one that's no longer active. And that's why they don't give us access to it. That was owned by the previous servicer. I attempted to reach out to him as well,
Yeah.
but he hasn't replied.
When you do like a who,
302 redirect.
when you do a who owns, who does it say owns it?
So
InMotion. Last I looked.
Who's that? I didn't hear it, Krista. Who?
it's InMotion hosting.
Okay, so the hosting company registered it? All right, so-
Yeah, but we just trying to figure out how do we attain access to it and get the proper credentials so we can change everything and take full ownership of it.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at the domain registry or the DNS records for that site right now. And it's all the InMotion, and then that's also, it looks like our Google stuff is set up through there appropriately too.
Yeah, I try to move it from Google because I can see it, but Google doesn't own it.
Well, I think that's what you use to set up. A lot of times that's for like Gmail and such.
Right.
So,
It was just a record added for the email.
yeah.
Okay, so we're close. We're still waiting to hear back, I guess, from them. Obviously, I don't think we can put any pressure on them to get the release of that. Right? So, Jose, do you think it's going to be a long-term strategy just to redirect it, or?
I'm hoping not. I've been literally just on them with emails. Lauren has as well. And we're like, hey, we just need a definitive answer, yes or no, so we can take the next steps and figure out how to do this. I know that it expires on 2024, but I'm not waiting for 2024 to happen.
No, because then there's a waiting period and everything too.
Yeah.
We need it, because we don't want, you can't, even with a redirect, they still are gonna need access to the DNS records for this FL. So you still aren't gonna be able to do a
So-
redirect.
So what we did was we contacted InMotion Host and we say, hey, can you add these two IP addresses to the records?
Mhm.
And, you know, to create 2A records for these two IP addresses, and they just couldn't do it.
So if they can't do it, we won't be able to do it either. So we won't be able to do a redirect because a redirect happens in the DNS records. So that celebration.fl.us is still gonna be out there until we take it over.
And that's what I need.
And we can't, a redirect won't work. Because we need access to that one in order to set the redirect to direct to the new one.
So I went through GoDaddy.com, through all our accounts, through all the domains that we own. I went through the InMotion hosting. I went through our historical files in the cabinet inside the activity group. There's no historical record that we purchased it and who we purchased it from. At least if we knew who we got it from, we could say, hey, Patrick Dumain's name on it. I could call Patrick. Hey, Patrick, can you just call him up and just transfer it?
Yeah.
But even Patrick, I spoke to Patrick and he doesn't know. Because his name was just added as a point person, but he never had access to it. So it's a real pain point and I'm struggling with it, but we'll beat this through.
Yeah.
Because we gotta find a way. And I'm pretty much still have the choice. I have to. So,
I
Tom,
don't
do
want to live out there.
yeah.
you think Steve Waring would know?
He might. I don't know. He wasn't really technical.
Yeah.
But I spoke to the previous person who was the IT director. His name was Tim Duncan.
Okay.
Any name ring a bell?
No.
Yeah, so he helped out and he's trying to look into it, but he told me the same thing, that at one point his name was on it as well. And that he never got access to it. He was just a point of contact or a reference point, and that was it.
Jose, do you have access to the root directory though, where the files are at? The website files are? Do you have access to the directory of the file
Like
directory?
FTP access,
No.
or do you only have through?
Can you get
WordPress?
access? Can you access the HTAccess file?
I could ask Mark.
It's sitting on the root for the websites, and you can put the redirect in there. I mean, that's what the hackers do, and that's how they direct it to themselves. You can redirect from the HTAccess file, but you have to have root access. And you know, it's going to be the long way around. I agree with everything you said before, that what you really want to do is change the DNS record. The A record needs to, or actually not the, it's not, is it the A record that needs to point to?
Yeah.
It needs to point to the new website IP address, but I understand that we can't do that. If you have access to the root files, which you might, I don't know. I'm not a WordPress person.
WordPress you don't, but there are plugins that, and I can show you I can send you the one that I've used in the past.
Well, can you do it? That's not me. I'm not the right person for this.
I mean, I can send Jose, not you, Tom. Jose,
Oh.
I can tell Jose what plugin, because we'd have to put that plugin on there. Because WordPress in general, you don't get access to the file directory. You have to go about it through, I mean, usually you'd do like through FTP or something, but there is a plugin I've used in the past when I haven't had access to the FTP. So I'll look up which one that is and I can send that to you. That way that'll.
You know, the irony of this entire situation is that when in March, a year ago, now it'll be 2 years this March, when we had the hack and they put this redirect in the HTAccess file originally, which was started this whole mess. Lauren gave me and Jim root access, and I looked, Jackson had asked us to fix this. This was before you were in the picture, Jose. And so at that point, I started looking through the files, and I had definitely had root access, and I could see all the files. Like as Chris says, I could FTP if I wanted to, but we seem to have. I don't understand how we've lost that now. How come we can't access? What happened at that particular instance was that it was kind of a duplication of effort. I was working on it with Jim, and at the same time, Patrick was working on it. When Patrick saw that somebody else was accessing it, he changed the password, and then of course knocked us out. And that was fine because Patrick was the guy that should be working on it. But my point is that both of us had pretty ready access, and Lauren knew the credentials.
All right, so I'll check in with Lauren and see.
One other thing, so looking at it, I mean, it's Patrick's email address on here. Would you have the ability to set, I mean, obviously his is gone, but would you have the ability to set up a user with that email address? Because you may be able to log into it with that.
Yeah.
Because then you can just have it send a password reset to that
Is it
email.
pdume at
Yeah.
celebrationtownhall.com? I
Yeah.
tried it.
Yeah.
I tried it.
And do the password reset. So you don't have to go to that
Yeah,
one.
I tried it. It basically what I did was I went into, that's part of the Google. That was part of the Google suite, and then it got transferred over
Mhm.
to the Office 365, and I reinstated the account to try to access it, and
Weird.
yeah, it didn't work. But I'll speak to Lauren about it. All I know is that that's a high priority thing on my list of things to do. So
So just
I'm on it.
I don't want to overdo it, but just that we ask her the right question, because when we initially asked her for this access, what she gave us to was the credentials to the WordPress admin. That's not what we wanted. We weren't looking to do anything with WordPress or change the plugins or anything like that. What we were looking for was access to the actual directory or the server. I don't know if it's an Apache. I don't know exactly what server they're using or how, but file access. And she said, "Oh, well, that's something, a different set of credentials," and she gave them to us. So therefore, she had them. So you got to make sure you ask the right question from her. You're not looking for the WordPress admin.
Got it. We'll do.
Yeah, all I'm seeing is in motion.
Yeah, I'll give him a call again. If you want, I can join you on the call. I don't know what your schedule looks like, but I could schedule it with you. If you want to try your hand at it.
Yeah, then we can try.
John?
Yeah.
John? You want to move on to the next line item?
Yep.
Well, EV charging, Corbin's not here to provide any updates on the report, so.
Yeah, I had a meeting this week with Greg Fielak, and Greg wants to move forward with exploring having other chargers in town on CCDD property. So we want to move forward with that. So Tom, I don't know if you want to take that on, because it's more than reporting. So I think we need to meet with NovaCharge or find out what cost would be, what we can charge, and some things that we talked about before. So I think that's something we can look into. Because, as Tom has reported, we've got a lot of people looking at the chargers. Also, Greg was saying that they're checking like the charging, and there's a lot of people using them. So that's something also that he noted.
So Tom, are you gonna look into it, or?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to look into it. I'll
All right, so I'm
touch
just
base
I'm
with.
noting it here.
I'll touch base with Greg, but Jose, I think I recommend the next step is that for you to set up a meeting with NovaCharge for us to have a conversation with them, because there's several things, as you know, we've talked that we need to discuss with NovaCharge.
Do
You
we need to
know,
also schedule a meeting with Duke Energy?
no, no, because Duke
Okay.
Energy, they were trying to really just sell us, they wanted to, what it really amounted to was finance the sale of chargers to us. That's what, where we were with Greg when we left off. At some point, it might come to that way, we might want to open that discussion again with Duke to see if they want to be a vendor, but the whole plug and play or park and plug or whatever, yeah, park and whatever it's called, park and charge, plug and park, I don't, anyway, that program is over, and we tried to get into phase 2 of that, which is, if you want to call it the free phase. And they were not interested. They really want to sell us equipment. So we need to get with NovaCharge. I see the two distinct issues here. One is our existing chargers. Why are they down as often as they're down, and how can we monitor them more closely to make sure they're not down? And then we can discuss, as a part of that, what would be an appropriate rate. What are there other people in Central Florida and Florida charging per kilowatt hour for charging services?
Tom, are you sure we own them? There seems like there's some question if we do own them or not.
I don't know. Jose is the only person that would be able to find that out. It was a 2-year deal with an opportunity to extend 2 years.
Right.
I mean, they had an option.
I believe we do. But the only thing is I have to go through Patrick's PST files because they were routed to his name initially. And right after he left, everything was assigned to me, but I believe we do. And I told Jim that I would get him that. It's just that I got sideswiped with the other issues, but
Yeah.
I'll make sure to do it.
So if you could set that up, we can have a conversation with them, and then we could go back to the board and make some recommendations on what to do with our chargers. With 450,000 views of our chargers, I mean, by any stretch, that is a big number of people looking at chargers. 450,000 people have looked at our chargers. I think there's some, we need to start thinking about the cost of maintenance them and who's going to pay for that and things like that. The chargers are going to be due for, if we own them, it's going to be on us. We need to start, if you want to call it, having a reserve to offset those costs so they don't cost the community to have the charger sitting there. So we need to have conversations like that with NovaCharge. And then secondly, and almost independently of that, we have a discussion CCDD, who is like-minded. I think they're looking at this as, number one, a service for people to charge. And we all agree that that's a good thing because electric vehicles are coming, but there's a second part of this. It's also a revenue generating opportunity. So we would like that to not just pass us by either. I mean, we're all one team, but I'm just saying, we got the chargers, they're already sitting there, and we should be using them.
Yeah, and Greg was specifically talked about the Stetson parking lot and how little it's used back there, and possibly putting a bank of them there.
Yeah, and that's where we looked when we discussed with Greg last. And Duke Energy was going to put 130 kilowatt chargers back there. But of course, that meant, a new transformer, because the transformer there is not big enough.
Yeah.
So there was a lot to it. And I look at that as a second phase that, having this conversation with Greg, but as a kind of somewhat urgent thing, I think we need to have a discussion with NovaCharge about the chargers that we currently have and make sure that they're up and running all the time and what's an appropriate price to be charging the drivers.
Yep.
Are you available for the remainder of the week? So I can schedule a call with NovaCharge probably Thursday or Friday? Thursday afternoon, Friday morning?
No, I'm in Chicago right now. So this week but I'll be back on Tuesday. So, I mean, I'll be back Tuesday night. So, Thursday would be a good day, a week, next Thursday, a week from today.
Jose, how have they been when you've contacted them? Have they been working with you or challenging? Yeah.
No, NovaCharge is really good. I have no issues with them. Sometimes their support response times are a little delayed, but it's a common trend everywhere. So, but outside of that, if I leave them a message with a callback number, they call me back. So,
Okay.
and it's not like a day or two later, it's just an hour or so. It's not instant, basically.
All right. So Tom's on it.
Got it. Want to go into projects?
Yep.
All right, so GoGov, I spoke to Jim earlier, just to get a quick recap as to what was going on. And one of the suggestion was for me to prepare a training for GoGov for the residents. So I've done training modules before in videos with, click here and then it navigates to a different page. It could be something that complex, or it could just be a video with just a screen recording of the application in action. I think it's a lot simpler. Prepare it and then create a strategy to roll this out in sections. That would be the best course of action. I just need to know if you guys agree, and if you agree, then I'll run to the races.
Let's say whatever is the lowest effort, best like, so you have a lot on your plate. If you don't need to make something
Right.
crazy, and spend a ton of time on it.
And Jose,
Definitely.
I've told you before, if you wanted to, with the videos and offer, twice a month, a workshop where residents can come in, I'm happy to do that training, to get up in front of people and show them and go through it and demo it and, look at people's phones and stuff, and iPads or tablets as well. So I don't know if we want to do that, but.
That'd be great. I'm doing the same thing for ONR, totally off topic,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of trying to do that in tandem. So,
You see, I like to get up in front of big crowds and open my mouth.
okay, good. So I'll make sure.
GoGov Live then, we're not live with it yet. People
With-
should still be using cell service for tickets, or
Yes, they should in the
Okay.
meantime.
we haven't done like a big,
It's not a big announcement. no,
Okay.
so it's
so
better
everyone
to do-
should still be using cell service at this point, okay.
And Jose, Greg assured me any changes, comments, concerns we have from our side, from Crowa's side with GoGov, they are all open ears, want feedback. Joe Papano has been great as
But what I'm
well.
gonna need from Greg is access to GoGov so that I can kind of do the screen recording of the app and then create one for the web interface, because people are gonna do both. I don't necessarily need admin privileges. What I need is a user privilege so that I can recreate the experience.
Okay,
The admin stuff can wait till Jim is okay with me doing whatever needs to be done at that point.
yep. Sounds good.
All right, digital signage. So just to give you guys a heads up, I did away with our cabling contractor because there was a lot of delays and a lot of pauses. So I ended up buying a spool of cable myself, and I started running cables everywhere. So I just purchased some more additional TVs and some digital display mounts. We do have electrical at North Village done and at Heritage Hall, so I'm gonna do it myself and get it ironed out. That'll be in 2 weeks because I have to wait for the stuff to come in. In terms of Wi-Fi, I'm glad to inform you that Spring Lake now has Wi-Fi, and they also have their TVs completely stripped and put new with Wi-Fi capability, so they can watch YouTube and Roku and all that stuff on the TVs while they're at the gym. Island Village also has Wi-Fi now, and we're working on their surveillance system integration, which gets installed on Friday. The only thing that's left for Wi-Fi would be Heritage Hall, and then we're done with the Wi-Fi project and we can put that to bed. What we're gonna do is for the gym areas, we're extending the Wi-Fi to an hour because the average person using the devices spend about an hour on the guest account, and that'll give them enough time to track the stuff that they need to track on their apps. So we made some headway there. And that's it for those particular projects. The next line item is ONR. I don't know.
Have you,
continue with that?
any
Yeah.
Of the networks through Wi-Fi? Any concerns through inappropriate activity on there or anything you've seen?
So what we did was we blacklisted certain sites. And we have an alert in place to notify us when somebody's going to a site that's deemed inappropriate. So we get bombarded with emails. Whenever somebody attempts it, it just blocks it and lets us know that somebody's on a site. Now, it doesn't tell me who it is because it's a guest account, but it'll tell me a timestamp of when it happened, and we could always refer to the cameras if we need to, if it's something serious. So far, nothing major, but you know, it's sites that don't necessarily. It's like saying I go to a website that has adult content, but it's not necessarily the worst thing that you would possibly expect, or it's not something that is actually being aired. You know, it's like one of those preventative measures that they have in place. Now that we're talking about that, you brought it up. We had an incident recently where an email got spoofed, and that was Lauren's email account.
Yeah.
So, you know, foundationally, we're trying to create a sound environment, right? So we moved a majority of our stuff into the cloud. We created a backup infrastructure, and it just so happened that the last phase was to create the security architecture behind it, right? But it has to be that it both covers the physical and the cloud. So we found the vendor, we're testing the product. It's something that we intend to roll out, and that kind of creates a solid foundation for celebration in terms of the IT infrastructure, and then we can build up from there. And more importantly, we can get rid of the old equipment and start putting in, you know, tighter constraints and better hardware.
Jose, I would, if it's okay with you, I would love if you can get me once a month, say, a report about website, the Wi-Fi status, usage, you know, some of the websites people are using, trending on. So if we have to get up and speak to the community about the great work you did with it, how often it's being accessed, how many people are on it. And so I think that all shows all the great work you did.
And we're getting a lot of like good feedback on Cyranet. There was a gentleman who gave us some recommendations. He is from Island Village. Apparently he has an IT background. And we're just trying to figure out what's the best way without consuming all the bandwidth, but making sure that the residents are happy with the use case and that they can use it while they're in the gyms and the pools, and it's safe, most importantly. But yeah, we can definitely get that going.
All right, thank you.
So jump onto ONR.
Yep.
All right, so for ONR, I created the training modules. I had two of the service area representatives for Academy Road sit down and look at the presentation. They went over it, they liked it. Now, I had to put it on hold, and a lot of it, it was to Krista's point that we need to test it out more thoroughly, and some of it is just certain modules, right? The survey module, the voting module, the consent module, and then there's the service request module that I'm going to disable as we roll it out. So I showed Jim how we can disable it. It's literally one click and it becomes invisible to the masses. All right. That way, you know, the residents will know that GoGov is for your service requests, and everything else, amenities requests and all of that will be inside of ONR. So I'm preparing that. I did prepare a training and had to cancel because it was Memorial Day weekend, and I figured nobody's gonna show up on a weekend, a 3-day weekend. And little did I know, I didn't know it was Memorial Day weekend because I'm just running, you know, at 1,000 miles a second. But I'm scheduling a training for the 16th, a small population of 50 people in one specific service area. I believe that's Artisan Park, Tom. Parkview is Artisan Park?
The Parkview Townhouse, yeah.
Yeah. Tom?
I'm not sure I understood the question.
The Parkview Townhomes, that's where,
Artisan,
that's where
right?
John is, John
Okay.
Weekend, and
Okay.
Ken's in the townhouse
So
too.
we're gonna start pushing out the request to for them to enroll in ONR and then schedule the training so that when they come in, we'll show them how to use it, show them the video, and put the video somewhere where they can access it if they need to, but do a one-on-one so that we can build their confidence and know that the stuff works. And we'll just roll out the modules in phases as opposed to rolling the whole thing and say, hey, look, you know, but mostly the events calendar, the social media component where they can communicate with other residents and share information. I'm really excited. I'm just trying to strategize this in a way where I can grab a small pool, get feedback, and then go from there.
A couple of questions I had too. One, I was just checking in, my notification still won't clear on there. The one that says, please check your rating, I still can't clear it.
Yeah, so I have to,
But the other question I had was around, so with the whole, we're adding an element of community participation and community people typing things and doing things. What's our plan for moderation?
so
Because I don't want that to be your whole job.
that's gonna be assigned to the communications department.
Do we have, are they then requesting a person? Because like there was,
No, so there's, I believe Liz is assigning that to Amber to do the moderation. When anything gets said out of context, they can actually go in and remove it and put a little blurb. So they'll deal with that. I'm just
I
strictly.
still have concerns because that could be, I mean, we've all seen the porches, like that's could be someone's full-time job. And if something gets out there and it's out there and it's out there for an hour before Lauren's person can get it, that could be not good too. So I definitely have concerns around moderation, mostly because it's our public face, like, it's our community facing, like, it's its own, it's the official. Facebook, we can't control, like, we know, like, whoever can set up a group, anyone can set up a group, there's 1,700 porches. And they have the right to moderate that however they want, and that's fine. But when it's more of an official communication, if someone were to put something in there that was derogatory, inflammatory, or anything like that, and unless it's removed right away, or there's an approval process that's out there on our official communication, even though it's still coming from a resident, it's in, so I don't know what they did with the forums previously, how those were moderated.
There was no moderation.
Yeah, so I have concerns around
So
moderation.
So the way I look at it is, my question right now is, I'm trying to compare, right? We currently don't have control over what they say, and they're gonna say what they're gonna say anyways.
But
At least
it's
we
not in
have,
our system.
right, but at least we have some control and some way to control it.
Mhm.
I don't think there's ever gonna be 100% foolproof moderation tool that's gonna, unless there's something built in that flags it,
Yeah,
you know, for keywords. And some people are very versatile with their words, so.
yeah, and then, but just so also, like, there's a lot of sensitivity around headcount right now too. And if it becomes a lot of work, you're gonna have another request for another headcount of who's going, there's someone who will be able to just handle the moderation if it gets.
Yeah.
If it gets to be a lot, so I just wanna make sure we're thinking about those things and the possibilities of what could happen, especially from a.
You know what? Well, I'll engage in a discussion because it's a very valid point.
Yeah, those are
Discuss.
great points, Krista. I would throw in there, like, to have an acceptable usage policy that a user, when they get in, accepts that. And then maybe have other, like, light moderators that check and then can, let the regular moderator know to take the comments out or anything if needed.
Because if it's if somebody's doing bad things, we can't really kick them out because then they can't book amenities, like they're a resident, so they have a right to the services, but
Not to the forum, though. They can be banned from the forum part of it.
is that a
Yes,
possibility?
we can.
Okay,
We can.
You can do like
for said user.
okay.
I would say
But we
they
may
said,
wanna have that in place or some sort of policy.
3 strikes you're out type thing.
yeah,
Alright,
just
so something I'll bring it up to Lauren and
Yeah.
then.
What are you saying, John? Sorry.
Yeah, like an acceptable usage policy, any inappropriate comments, threats, harassment inside the forum will result in a 7 or 14-day, ban from the thing. And then again, if you want to do 3 strikes, you're out. So I have my companies use those verbiage all the time with, like, Slack and other things that people use, right?
Got it. All right, so I'll make sure that I'll verify we have a policy. If not, we'll create one. We'll put it on ONR's table of things to do.
And do they
And
have anything built in, like, can they not allow profanity or think, like, are there
I
things
gotta
that they
check.
can?
I
do
didn't dig that
automatically.
deep. I haven't used the full admin piece of it.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can. So in O and R. Let's see. So this is the back end of it.
And we don't have to get into the weeds on it right
But
now.
yeah, but
too,
I'm pretty sure we'd be able to do it on the community piece or the communications piece. There has to be something. I just gotta check.
Yeah, I have a question about this. So this is going to be almost, well, you described it as a forum, but another porch, but an official porch. But is this also going to be the way that you communicate important matters to the community as a whole is going to be through this, or is there going to be another mechanism on ONR where you could send out broadcast alerts for
You can.
specific?
That I know you can. So you'll have notification blasts sent to everyone who's an ONR user. But it will still be, it's just another layer, right? Because it'll be still sent to the celebration website. It'll still be sent to those who are part of committees and members. It's just gonna be another layer.
Can they pin those or make those like featured or something
Yes, they
too,
can.
so that celebration stuff doesn't,
Doesn't go down the list.
yeah,
Yes,
go down the list as somebody is complaining about something or.
Absolutely, that's exactly what I had in mind. And so you saw this week, was it this week or last week, that they had the water pipe break? And of course, on the back porch, people were talking about the water pipe break, and it was a boil water order or something. And as I sat there and read this, of course, I don't post, so I didn't say anything, but I was thinking, this information like that should come from an official channel, that is Town Hall, and ONR would be the perfect vehicle for that communication. Say, here is the official word on this, and not have to rely on really what amounted to speculation on the back porch. So I think this ONR is.
We got an official communication with the specific addresses that were impacted.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you send that? Oh, there was?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one through email.
I got one.
Oh, I didn't get one. Was I supposed to? I mean, I'm further away from it than you. I mean, you're further away from it than I am.
Your wife probably got it done.
I'm pretty much as far away you can be, except for Island Village.
All right, so I'll make sure I bring that up.
Yeah, I didn't see this, and then I saw these people all discussing it, and I was like, oh man, this is not really the place to have an important matter like that discussed. Not that they can't, they're free to talk about anything they like, but I'm saying that for official communication, there should be a mechanism to say this is the official position on some condition like that, like a water break. ONR is a perfect thing to use it, a perfect place for that communications.
All right, so we'll get on it.
That'd be
Okay.
a good use for the notifications, as long as you can clear them afterwards.
All right, so move on to the key card access, John?
Yeah, so how'd the rest of Paxton go? It looked pretty good in the beginning, but I saw.
So I thought it was pretty cool. Unfortunately, it's not gonna compare to the other two in terms of how versatile it was, but I like the interface for Paxton. It was very intuitive, very easy to work with. And the fact that you didn't pay for any licensing was great.
No licensing.
Like that's a big deal.
Yeah,
because-
I actually had, I echo everything you said, Jose, except a little bit stronger. I really liked it. I went into that meeting thinking that this was more of a formality, that we really knew what we liked. And I was kind of surprised by what these guys brought on. As you said, it was very simple. It was sort of hardware intense. That part I wasn't a real big fan of, the fact that they needed a board for every door. But other than that, the licensing, what it could do, the flexibility of being able to import CSVs,
Yep.
It really did everything. That it was very, very flexible and capable. I didn't really see a big downside. My my initial reaction after sitting through that was that maybe we need another round of meetings with just those two, not to at the same time, obviously, but to get a little bit more detailed, because it's not obvious as to what the what the direction should be. I mean, at one point we thought it was, but I'm not so sure now.
So should it be Paxton and Gallagher?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
All right.
Yeah,
so I'll
those two
send,
were both, they were very good, and the licensing, like you said, I mean, they really, I didn't really see a downside.
The only downside I saw was the interoperability with the systems that we're introducing for
Right.
the key card access, right? But outside of that, I mean, I was surprised. I was just like you. I thought it was a formality, and I actually have access to the sandbox if you want to come in next week and we could tinker around with it.
Right, so there was no APIs to Milestone like Gallagher had.
There is no APIs. They have APIs to their own proprietary. So their structure is our hardware, our licensing, that's it.
Well, wait a
there's-
second now. No, wait a minute. A slight refinement. There's no API, but they already have if a proprietary API with Milestone. So they could already, at least they said they did. That's the way I read it.
So it could connect to their cameras.
Yeah.
They in terms of their cameras, they could, but it couldn't connect to the system directly.
Right, the Milestone software.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're right. That's a problem. That's
Yeah.
that is a problem.
Right, Gallagher said they can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't know, what your plan is, Jose, but I don't see the milestone and all those servers going away anytime soon.
No, they're not. They're not. And I'll do you one better.
What's our milestone system?
It's our surveillance system.
Oh, okay.
So basically.
That's the software.
Yeah, Tom.
No, I was just gonna, I was, because of the delay, we both answered the question at the same time. It's,
No, it's
it's-
fine. If the surveillance software, that's good enough for me. I don't need to go deep into it.
Yeah.
What we're looking to is just to integrate it with our key card. So whenever somebody hits the striker, camera captures a picture. So if there's ever any issues, late at night, we can at least put a tag to a face, right? So that's what that's for. Yeah, so I'll schedule, I guess, Gallagher and Paxton.
yeah, so let me see if I understand. Your view on the whole, you were very specific about, do we have the capability, a person swipes their card, we want the camera to take a photo. Your view is that their response was, yes, we can do that, but the way we do it is we're monitoring the cameras ourselves, not through Milestone.
Right.
Is that the way you saw it?
Right, that's, so the way they explained it was, all they need is a link to our internal network or our
Yeah.
internal LAN, a private LAN.
Yeah.
And it'll scan the network for the cameras, and then it'll capture it from their system.
I see.
Um,
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Versus Gallagher, where Gallagher does the API integration, right? And what it allows you to do is see all the bells and whistles that Milestone has embedded into Gallagher.
Yeah, that's a big difference. Milestone is very, very complicated and very, very powerful.
Jose, do you get
Who's
the,
our security guy? Who's our security guy? It might be worth having them involved just
I
to
mean-
do, maybe just especially if they're gonna be like in the internal network and then
Right.
scanning the cameras, it might be worth having Anil take a look too.
Jose, does ProTech give you their opinion?
ProSec did give me their opinion.
Okay, because
But
because they're like
I
a
just wanted to
consultant.
make sure that we, as the users and I guess the technical expertise and knowing what we want, we can actually say, okay, we vetted these things out, and I go by another person and say, okay, they said this and we say this and it's a match, then we're golden. But we were in agreement. They said Gallagher would be the best one, and I still stand by Gallagher.
Yeah, so Krista, ProTech is like a service provider integrator that we're using, and they do all the work, the hardware vendors we're talking about, so that's why they would have an opinion, because they actually do the installation of this stuff.
So Unable to participate in.
Do either one of those solve your dog park thing too, where you can set
Gallagher.
expiration?
Gallagher does, and believe it or not, Paxton does.
Okay, perfect. So that checks off one of our boxes too.
Well, it's funny, Jose, today I went to 851 with my wife. She went to get her ID card updated for the dog park. Now, she already has a pass, but they informed her that the vaccination reports are expired. And I said, well, your pass is still going to work. She goes, no, it's not. I said, I think it is. They don't go through line by line and start turning off your access. Right?
Yeah, they don't,
Yeah,
and that's,
it's all-
again, it's impractical, right? I mean, they're not following the protocol of just reviewing every line item. And a lot of it has to do with, there's a lot of new faces, so they're not familiar with the system, so we gotta sit down and go over how to set it up. But yeah, you're right. You know, I mean, overall, I thought it was a great demo for as short as it was. I was impressed.
Yeah, me too. It was good. I wasn't on for the whole call, but the beginning was really good. I thought it was impressive.
The only downfall was the integration in the hardware. It was just too many modules in a can because you need one module for each door.
Yeah, I didn't see that part of it.
Yeah, that was at the end when we started getting into the hardware. And then it got worse because it's a PoE. The modules, it was a PoE, so then you needed either a bank of PoE inserters or you needed a PoE card. Basically, it had all the outputs to provide power, and it started getting. But there aren't a whole lot of places where we're going to run into that. Lakeside would be one, but there's not a whole lot of places. And 851, where you guys are, would be another place where we'd have that because you got quite a few latches there. But other than that, you know, it wasn't a real big problem, except for the fact that at these two locations you might have a couple boxes on the wall, big boxes.
Yeah.
I did want to ask something about both of them had the capability of using our existing. They weren't sure, but they said send them a card and let us take a look at it, right? That's where we
Both
left
of
it.
them had the capability of doing what?
Using our existing.
Using our
Yes,
existing.
they do. Yes, they will use our cards, our current cards. So that wasn't an issue.
Well, one of them, the last guy said that they wanted a card to verify that. Remember, we were supposed to give a card to this third-party company we were just on.
I'll shoot it up to him, but I mean, those cards are pretty standards, the ones we use.
Yeah,
I'll send it to him. I'll send
you
it to him.
remember though, when we had Gallagher in and we first handed them the card, it initially didn't work. They had to actually program their machine to allow it to work.
They had a program.
You remember that? Anyway, I don't know. I mean, do you guys think it's worth having these guys come for a second pass? If we're not, I mean, we're not.
Well, the only thing I would say,
Well, we see.
Jose, you saw with the numbers, because they don't charge any licensing from Paxton. If there's a huge difference with licensing between Gallagher and Paxton, and I mean huge difference, then you can start seeing evaluating extra hardware and some other stuff. But if they're in the same game as far as pricing, and Gallagher just offers a lot more in the milestone compatibility, I mean, I think there's your answer.
Was Gallagher the one that had the one license per device, and it was a lifetime? You had to get a new one every time, or was that the second guy?
No, that wasn't Gallagher. That was
Okay.
That was the second company we let that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because I'm getting confused. All right. So yeah, because that was a deal breaker there. That was not good.
So I think it's going to be Paxton and Gallagher. It doesn't have to be an on-prem demo. We've already seen the bulk of the hardware for Gallagher. It's really just a quick review. It could be a Microsoft Teams session.
Yeah.
Just compare apples to apples and features and make sure that, you know, one of them. And by the way, I do have the quotes. So I have to scan them and send you all the quotes so that you guys can review it.
I mean, how are they looking?
They're pretty up there, but it's an overhaul. It'll put us in with the new technology that requires no cards, we'll get better low voltage electrical done at the same time. So the downtime that's existing now will be less or non-existent in some cases. So there is a trade-off for the price you pay. It's a one-time price, but I did speak to Lauren about it, and she did mention that there is some money in reserves for it. I just don't know what the total is. So, but I really think this will be a huge win for Celebration.
Yeah. Agreed.
So yeah, so I'll make sure to schedule that. And I'll ask for dates to make sure that you can all review those dates and your availability, and then we'll schedule.
And Jose, the last thing under the brainstorming, Greg asked about autonomous vehicles, and I was in charge of that last year. So, so CCD, they were talking about doing funding, that Greg said that they might be able to do some funding, and I told them, some of the costs, but they have some new vehicles that are going to be coming out and next year. And from the community that I polled, something down Celebration Boulevard to the new Publix and that shopping center, there's some interest, for that. But it was just, I think we might, peek into it again, but it was around 50 grand a month with what it would have cost for a lease.
So it's funny you mentioned that. I saw a video. That wasn't a video, it was actually a news. I think a Popka
No,
just got a grant.
it was Orlando.
No, it was in a Popka. That much I remember, but they got a grant and they started rolling out autonomous vehicles. So yeah, it's something we can start discussing and revisiting. Just bear in mind that that's a huge pull, a huge lift.
Yeah.
Because then you're talking about not just getting, roads and permits and all that. You're talking about insurance, and that's not cheap.
Yeah, it's all included in that price, but
I'm
yeah.
sorry, Jose. Sorry, I completed the sentence for you, and I shouldn't have. I thought what you were going to tell us was about the news story of Orlando just rolled out Beep, and of course, Beep is who we were looking at, and almost right away, one of the Beeps rear-ended a city bus. Did you see that on the?
Oh, I got. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Know.
Yeah, Beep rear-ended a city bus. I thought, boy.
Liability issues, there's a lot that goes with it. This will be something that, a lot of the times you say pie in the sky, I think it's something that can happen. It's just, it has to be properly vetted, get the proper subject matter experts in, because you want to make this as tight as possible.
Yeah.
Meaning safety and compliance and all that stuff. But definitely,
Yeah,
I think
I have the contact with Brandon Constantino. So he gave me a little demo again, I think a month or two ago. So if we want a very light conversations with him, Jose, we can set that up again.
Let's do it.
Yeah, because he said the new technology is really it's really better, because we all demoed the Lake Nona one, and I didn't think it was a great experience. It was jerky. Somebody was driving it, only a few passengers. Kids can't go on it by themselves. It was an interesting demo.
Well, now we know there's multiple places that have it, so it doesn't hurt to go and experience it elsewhere and see how their vehicles operate and what that experience is like.
Yeah. And we would love, some of the conversations were also brought up last year about having one that takes you from Celebration, like to Magic Kingdom or Disney Springs or something. Get Disney to co-fund it or something. But.
Are we on brainstorming?
Yeah.
Can I get a minute?
Sure.
Okay. I'm Dave Spinning, and I've been a resident here since 1998. And I've made these suggestions a number of times. I made them in 2017 in the company of Representative Darren Soto, who was at that time a resident. He has since moved down to Kissimmee. The original suggestion was that we should have a sustainability committee that would be separate from the technology committee, but that wasn't accepted. So I suggested instead that we should have a sustainability subcommittee of the technology committee. I've got this all in writing, so I'll send you an email of it. The first thing I suggested was that we should have some EV charging, and that happened, and it was great. And I sat in on all the technology committee meetings for a number of years. I didn't realize that it was still going on. It looks like all the leadership has changed. So that's a great step forward to have accepted the idea that we do need charging for EVs. What I suggested also to CCDD and to the folks who are designing the new portions of the community was that we should move into solar technology as quickly and as thoroughly as possible. I've got solar on the back of my house. I wish it were on the front. The back is the north side. I couldn't put it on the south side. That's ridiculous. So I think we have to talk to CCDD and to CROA about permitting people to put solar on the most appropriate side of their house instead of the alley facing side. So that's one thing. We could use PACE funding or solar loans to put solar panels on this building and all the other CROA and CCDD owned properties. And I think we should consider that. Within this decade, we've got to get off of fossil fuels. There's no question about that. Not just we Celebration, we the human race. There's no reason for us to be behind the eight ball. When Disney started creating Celebration, one of the tenets was, how can we make history? And we did, we made history. But now the question is, how can we make history again? So could we get Duke Energy to build a solar energy facility, like a solar farm for the town near here? Can we urge leadership here to adopt a higher energy efficiency standard for Celebration, new construction and remodeling than the current county codes? Can we exceed the county? Can we form a solar co-op for Celebration to make it easy for residents to purchase and save on rooftop installation? Can we install a biodigester? Disney had a biodigester. I want to know why they took it out, because they used to take all of the compostable foodstuffs from all the restaurants and run it through a biodigester and create energy from it. It was really a money saver, and over the COVID period, it was taken out. I think it's because one of their workers fell into the vat and was killed. And we have to find out about that. That's all very top secret at this point. The state law says that homeowners may plant vegetables in their yard, and it also says that homeowners can plant Florida-friendly and native plants in their yard. Meanwhile, we're planting grass everywhere, and our grass is not helpful to the state of Florida, to the manatees, to the Everglades, to runoff. And so we should be considering alternative forms of vegetation for our yards. We should talk to our lawn care services about reducing the use of pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and chemical fertilizer. because it's not helpful to Florida. We should be on the lookout for nonprofits that are providing development grants to communities like Celebration, because they exist. We don't have to pay for all this ourselves. The Department of Energy at the federal level is very interested in helping communities to become sustainable. And Valencia College and UCF both have technology departments that could help us to move towards sustainability. And that includes things like butterfly-friendly gardens throughout the town. And it includes things like beekeeping and maybe even chickens. And certainly we could work with the Celebration schools so that our kids can learn about sustainability, so that they'll want to come back to this town. My own kids moved out. They graduated from here 15 years ago, left, and they say they're not coming back. And one of the reasons they're not coming back is because this town is not sustainable. So my suggestion is that we form a sustainability subcommittee under the technology committee to bring these and other issues to the attention of town management. So that's my pitch. I've done this before. This is the 5th time I've made these suggestions. But I think if we do this, it'll put Celebration back in the news in terms of our cornerstones of course, technology and community and place and education and health. So I'll leave a copy of this and I'll send you a digital copy. And it's just stuff to think about. But I've been thinking about it since I moved in here in 1998. And I think it's still current. Nothing that I put on my list have I had to cross off except for let's get EV charging here in town. So that's the number one thing that I had on the list, and I've been able to cross it off. But I've been a gadfly here for a long time, and I will continue in that role because I think it's really important that we have a sustainability committee and a sustainable community. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and if you're at all interested, I've written a little book called The Green Actioneers Family Action Guide that's going to be available nationwide this fall. And it's everything that families can do in order to save energy, save water, save money, and have a clean, green future. And I'll leave a copy here so that you can go over it, look at it, and see what it is we're suggesting. But that book is going to be in the hands of every family in North America this decade. That's my mission. I'm 82 years old, and I'm going to do this. And the way we get it into their hands is we give it away for free. So every family can have the book. They get it in digital form for free, and then they can purchase a copy. But we've got schools all over the country. I just came back from California and Texas, where I went to the PTA conventions and made presentations, and also the Florida PTA convention. So I've got a list of about 500 schools that are interested in starting a program that would involve not the kids, but the families, and get the families moving and going green. So that's my work, and I'm available, and I live here in town. But you know, a prophet is never known in his own town.
Thank you. All right, John?
Okay, thanks everybody for your time. I'll make sure I reach out to Anil's in New York. He just texted me back, and I haven't heard from Corbin. But so just Anil, you and Jose, you and I, let's schedule some time too to get together, and then next stop meeting we'll have with Tom with, on the, Nova charge.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay,
Thursday, a week from now.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome.